我们下一棒同学是罗子健，好，然后他们现在在 set up 模型。
大家晚上好，我是来自香港，我叫罗子健，我来自这个香港大学，但是等一下我也会用这个英语来做这个汇报。Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Kinson. So my thesis title is Diffusion, Archive, Perpetuations, Reimagining Chinese Ornament in the Age of Mass Design and Artificial Intelligence. So our city, it wasn't always like this. We are kind of living in a mass design age now. Our building didn't always look the way they do today. We once built a city where the rooftop told story, where the tiles hold memory, and where the structure has emotional. And this is called ornament. And this is where ornament served as a language. It was layered with meaning, filled with symbol, and expressive of human value. But now, especially in China, we are surrounded with repetitions. Between 2011 and 2013, China used more concrete than the US did in the entire 20th century. So we see sameness now in our city. This project is a response to that condition. It is an invitation to remember where architecture has been forgotten. It is an attempt to bring back the expressive potential of ornament, which has been long reminded the silent partner of modernism. So my thesis main question is, what is architectural ornament today? And how can AI technology bring about a revival of ornamentation in architecture? And what is the role of architect in this new process for ideation to fabrications? And most importantly, in this time of urgency, can ornamentation become a response, not just a style? So to talk about ornament, so first thing is like, why ornament? Because everything meaningful to me have ornament. Just think about a painting, a garment, a shoes, anything you love. Just like, look closely, you have pattern, right? And then if you have pattern, then it must be, some people will make it. This motif, those texture, maybe they will fade away, maybe they will appear in some Wikipedia page, but it is never random. It has story. Sometimes you're waiting for you to discover that. And that part of discovery, that's the power of ornament. It is not just decoration, it is a way of archaeology. So it's embedded in the objects we keep, the garments we wear, and the space we inhabited. Ornament is memory. So to talk about to start my thesis, just like some kind of theoretical grounding, we need to talk about it in the architecture world. It's like Edward Lowe's, he wrote essays called Ornament and Crime. And he argued that ornament was criminal, a waste of labor and time. But on the other hand, we have John Ruskin, right? He said that ornament is reflected human spirit. It is an express of human craftsmanship. And Tsz-Kin also made a movie to talk about how boring our cities right now is, a loss of personality. Everything looks the same now. And most recently, Antoine Picon offered a different perspective. He argued that ornament is not just visual, it is also political. It's about power, identity, and cultural representations. And in his view, ornament will not disappear. Instead, it will continue to evolve with technology. And this is where my project takes place with his opinion. It's about technology. I do not believe AI is here to replace us. And also, I believe it can help extend our design, extend our ideation, rather than just acting as a machine of operation. Artificial intelligence can become a collaborator in the preservation and transformation of cultural memory. So I have to read my manifesto of this thesis. So with the help of AI, ornament is no longer a crime. So it is an opportunity. Ornament can be memory, ornament can be identity, ornament is resistance. So to resist the homogenized future, we must rescue Chinese ornamentation, but not just as surface decoration, but as a system of memory embedded into architecture. So design ornament, it will become like an archaeological art. So we excavate for the digital fragments, and then we insert the memory with our process and fabrication method into architecture to rework the meaning and specificity. So how does this process work, right? This is the main part. This AI-driven workflow, we define architecture agency by transforming ornament into a generative design tools, blending traditional Chinese element with speculative imagery. It bridges the culture and also innovation, positioning the architect as a both translator and also collaborator in the human-machine design synthesis. So I begin with an ornament from Linglam Chinese architecture because that's where I come from. So I study the ornaments, such as elements such as such as the Daogong bucket and the moon gate and also the roof and also the tiles. So these components are deeply rooted in our identity, and I'm really interested about it, right? And then I'll use some kind of diffusion platform, so Comfy UI, and then use that Comfy UI. I have two sets of database. One is traditional, one is futuristic, and then it will outsource with a lot of like a diffusion object, which is like a database I could pick with and also pay with. And then another step is when I carefully select this, which they have a lot of like a geometry form and then I carefully cutting it, mirror it. It almost looks like I'm preserving some kind of architecture, but it's in the internet way. And then I import it again with some kind of 3D diffusion platform, which is also come from Comfy UIs. And then this Comfy UI can directly translate this image to a 3D like this in 1 hour or something. Sorry, in 1 minute, not 1 hour, if you have a super strong computer. And then you could just use this idea, and then you could input in the Rhino, just play with it. But I think this could be my final drawings of like an archive or something. I don't think this is decided for only architecture. It could have a lot of ways, maybe like craft, artists, and could use it. But it's a physics, right? I need to think about application. So I find some a precedent study which I really like. This is the iron pagoda in Kaifeng, China. And this iron pagoda, it looks like it's a Daogong, right? But it's not in timber. These things actually made with stone and bricks. So it kind of like showcase a material translation and so transcendency of a tradition. So this person inspired and enhanced my approach. So I have to reimagining like a historical ornament through new material and also AI tools. So my test ground extend this logic. And then transforming heritage into speculative, generative architecture, but it will rooted in memory and also yet forward-looking. So I kind of like using my archive and then build another 3D, testing it into different ways. And then I use my method. I using a 3D printing technology and using silicon mold, and then we cast cement inside those things, which I find that is quite a fun crafting process. It's almost like I'm the maker of this architecture building. And this is how the final model looks like. Because it's too heavy, I couldn't bring it from Hong Kong to Taiwan, so I decided to demolish it in some fragments. But this is how the scales looks like. And so this is how my final projects, there's a lot of tests between this form and conclusion. So my conclusion is like, what does this mean for us as an architect? And in this age of artificial intelligence, we are no longer just a designer of form. We are curator of memory. We do not train machine to replace us. We train them to help us to remember what we have forgotten. So ornament is no longer just a surface. It becomes like a living archive. So this is an end presentation. Thank you.
这个我们请新狗，你们两位谁要先
？OK，
好。
Hello, Thomas. Hello. Hello, Thomas.
Don't get nervous.
I'm
come
so
come
nervous.
here. Come
My
here.
head
Come
is
here.
shaking and the ding is like, oh.
This is the subject matter.
Oh.
You know, since we talked about earthquake earlier, there was a group of Americans who went to Italy because they want to figure out how to document a particular chapel in Sicily. And they made a copy of it and they built in somewhere in Connecticut. But there was a major earthquake in Italy that destroyed the original. So the Italian went to America to copy the copy, to rebuild the original back from the copy one. So this is a topic that sort of comes in. AI project has done in Hong Kong. This is the third version for the last 3 years. Everybody's scared of doing AI because everyone who's doing AI would always get a low grade.
Yeah.
But he was brave because he realized that it's not about the process of the AI, it's about the process of the content. To bring questions of ornamentations, which is a cycle. Because there is also an ornamentation within our modernist traditions. All Hong Kong buildings, if you know that, it's called villa or palazzo. But there's nothing about palazzo and villa. But all the interior of these houses looks more Italian than Italy. So it's about ornament is a way of describing a particular social class, a particular time of place. But I want to pose out a couple questions to him. Because you're describing ornament quite loosely. Because as though you come to IKEA and choose and pick the different parts together. But how does one, if you're doing a process of assembly, not customizations, how can you still define a particular period of your time?
Wow. I think to define my time, first of all, I need to ask myself in the beginning, like why I should start this thesis, right? I think my thesis is kind of, some people said it's special, some people said it's quite weird if you see that thing as architecture design. But my enjoyment when I'm doing this thesis is I kind of like starting a new thing. Like I'm kind of like starting a new database which people can, not only for architecture, designer and artists, they could take reference what I have outsourced. And then like this thing could be like maybe if some people, sometimes they have come, they want to design ornament. Right now, if we want to hire people who can do ornament, it's really expensive. Like it's like an economical factor behind my project. It's like I want to kind of inviting everyone to know more about this concept. And then because this thing contains story, and story is also identity. And then when I travel to Taiwan, I see a lot of amazing temple, right? I think if you want to hire some people to repair those temples, I guarantee it is super expensive. And then, but when we study architecture, those parts, we already like know a lot, much about this in history, and probably with this archive, we could do that. I mean, like this is my feeling about it. This, at the spectrum of this whole thesis, yeah.
Thank you very much for a very interesting project, and I really like how you researched all the historical ornaments and put together into one part of the structure, one corner maybe. But I think using AI or databasing, for example, maybe in Japan these days, some of the experiment that's done in the university, they scan all these old wood pieces, like really carefully, and try to use these old woods to new constructions, because wood is very hard to reuse. So before it wasn't really used in the process, but now they're trying to do that. So, but this is still about shape, maybe, and I hope to see more maybe patterns. Otherwise, you know, sometimes it becomes these ornament collage becomes a style of grotesque kind of image of building schemes, and I think there should be some kind of ordering or rules to be implemented in the
because you know that America, turn of the century, invented the cast iron techniques. So they were using ornamentation. One good example is the Donald Judd's building in Soho. If you realize that traditionally you have a very big, large capitals, and the column gets smaller and smaller, or bigger, smaller and wider, base higher. But since actually with cast iron, you reversed it. Gets thicker on the top, gets thinner at the bottom. It completely changed the classical order. Why was that? Because steel was lighter and you could actually change the structural aspects of it. As you get lower, the column gets thinner. That means that actually there's more ability to bring lights in. So that was, I love the contradictions about using ornamentations rather than follows going back to tracing back the archaeology aspects of it.
But that's something, that's I think is the idea. Inversing and giving another function to ornament, like finding another possibility to ornaments.
To me, I think also one thing I need to mention is like we also need to like define what is ornament, right? Like because to me, sometimes when you're talking about ornaments, maybe it's like motif patterns, but to me actually it's like overall of building, like how to put these things subtly on the which part of the building, obviously, but this model I'm doing in a crazy way, like in a quite extravagant way. Like, but I understand your view is like this is if I further get some time to recognize this potential, because when I dealing with the training of the database, I'm just doing like a pretty draft way right now. But I think if like I can embed some story inside this thing. And then when the time comes, I have a book of like a fake ornamentation, and then I hope that it will become much more better. Yeah.
OK， 我们是不是先那个把问题留到后面，我们还可以继续在那个。我们先谢谢周。